Welcome to our weekly Forex forecast, and this is for trading for the week of August 12th to the 6th, August 2nd to the 6th of 2021. Just a quick disclaimer here before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. As usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar here. So coming up on Monday here, we have a lot of PMI numbers. So PMI numbers are very important. They are precursors to retail sales and of course to GDP. And if the PMI numbers are good, so this is the Purchasing Managers Index. So if the purchasing managers are buying stuff, that means they expect to sell stuff. That's why these numbers are important, because they'll show us where the economy is going. And with these, when they come in higher than expected, that is positive for the currency. And we have numbers for Euro, for UK here, as well as for the US. So US has been getting some mixed data, and this is why US dollar hasn't done so well recently, with some numbers that are coming in better than expected, but the Fed hasn't been very committed to taking away the monetary policy support or tightening the monetary policy. They're basically, on one hand, they are saying that they're going to do that, but on the other hand, every time Powell has spoken, he's essentially said that they're going to continue supporting the market as much or for as long as is needed. So anyway, so that's why US dollar hasn't been that strong. If the PMI numbers come in below expectations, that will be negative for the US dollar. And with the euro here, if the numbers come in above expectation, we would expect a positive impact from that. So euro and pound have both been positive, and US dollar has been negative. So we'll keep an eye on that. And then coming up here also, we have Reserve Bank of Australia rate statement. At this point, not expecting an increase in the interest rate. However, it will be the commentary, the comments they have. So Reserve Bank of New Zealand has been, or they have talked about raising interest rate. Again, none of the banks are doing it just yet, but they're providing forward guidance as to what they are thinking. And if the Reserve Bank of Australia says the same thing, that they're looking at tightening the monetary policy as the economy improves, that will be positive. Now, with Australia, they've gone back into lockdowns. So that could have a negative impact on the economy, which means that Reserve Bank of Australia may not be ready to start talking about raising rates. But so that's what we have to see. If they do talk about raising the rates down the road, that will be positive. But if they talk about the current lockdowns and they talk about concerns about the economy, that will be negative for Australian dollar. So we'll keep an eye on that. Other than that, we have employment numbers here out of New Zealand. Those will be important. Right now, employment numbers are important because we are looking at now that we are towards the tail end of COVID, or as everybody's trying to get a hold of the situation here. The focus is now on how the economy is going to recover and the employment. How is everybody going to come out of this? So if the employment numbers are not good, that will be negative. And again, if they come in above expectation, that will be positive for New Zealand dollar here. And then we have more PMI numbers. We have ADP non-farm numbers here for the US. So these are important because these are precursors to non-farm payroll numbers on Friday. So every first Friday of the month, we get the non-farm payroll numbers from the US. So we'll keep an eye on this. Again, expect more volatility for the US dollar this week here because we have PMI numbers, we have non-farm payroll numbers that can create a lot of volatility. Those are important numbers, key data points that we need to keep an eye on. On Thursday here, Bank of England. So Bank of England has actually talked about basically tightening the monetary policy. Again, at this point, not expecting anybody to change interest rates. However, any kind of forward guidance on how they are feeling about it, or what the bank is seeing on the horizon, that will be important. Any talk about tightening monetary policy, cutting back on the asset purchases, are tapering them down the road, that will be a positive for British pound. And then we also have unemployment numbers. The non-farm will be more important here. So RBA monetary policy statement. This one is not likely to have as much impact as the first one here. So I wouldn't worry too much about this, but the first one will be more important. And then on Friday here, we have employment numbers, non-farm payroll numbers. This is always basically, this is a big one, market moving event. So we'll keep an eye on it. If the numbers come in below expectations, that would be negative for the US dollar. So, and then of course we have Canadian numbers as well. Same thing goes for Canadian dollar, but usually the US one, that's really the market moving. All right, so that's it for the news. Let's take a look at our charts now. We'll start off with euro dollar here. So euro came into support and now it's bouncing off. So this was a important support resistance level for the euro dollar here. Now we have a nice big bullish candle close. However, over the last few weeks, it has traded in this range here between 1.1750 and 1.1900. So this week's candle close is bullish. However, the concern will be we are into the top of the range, but bias is bullish. Just watch out for the resistance. And in this case, the next target here is 1.1980. So we do need to see the price go through the resistance, and then we are looking for continuation, and it opens up this big candle. So right now we haven't really started filling this candle, but once it goes through, the whole candle, the entire candle could get filled and we could see the move higher. So bias here is bullish with caution though, because price is struggling with the resistance. Currently, this is an important support resistance level as well. So we'll have to watch out for this. But bias is bullish. Next target is 1.1900. And then above that, we are looking at 1.2065. So bullish bias here for euro dollar. Pound dollar here, this one is looking bullish as well. At this point, price is into resistance. It's into the top of the range. This one has also been trading sideways here over the last few days. It has been stuck in a sideways range here. So right now, price is into resistance. There's a pin on the top, which could be problematic, and we could see one of these moves. So price goes into the resistance and bounces off. So right now, neutral to bullish bias. If it manages to get out of this range, through the resistance, then it could go all the way into the high. And with Bank of England statement coming up, that will have a big impact on pound. So we'll keep an eye on this. In this case, the first target, should it go through the resistance or the top of the range, would be 1.4075. And then we are looking at 1.4250 all the way into the high here. So bias is bullish, neutral to bullish for pound dollar. Aussie dollar, this one is still in a bit of a sideways move here. Price hasn't really done much. It didn't go through the support or the resistance, so neutral bias here. With this, it could go in either direction. If it tests the low, doesn't go through, then we are basically looking for a move back higher here. Right now, bias is neutral. And in terms of the levels, where if it, first thing would be, can it go through the low? Right now, two weeks in a row, it hasn't broken the support, which means things could turn around. In that case, if it rejects the low, then we are looking at price to go back up, something like this. 0.7485 will be the target here. So bias here is neutral for Aussie dollar, and target being 0.7490. New Zealand dollar, this one is also sideways at the moment. It's been struggling with the support, which means things could turn around. This is an important support and resistance level coming all the way from 2018. So this is where it has struggled, and now things could turn around. So watch out for that. Last 4 weeks in a row here, prices failed to break through the support, which means we could see a turnaround. And in this case, neutral bias looking for a move back towards 0.7100. So looking for a move back in the range. If for some reason it breaks down, then it can go lower. But for now, we'll just watch the support at 0.6900. If it fails to break that, then we are back into the top of the range, 0.7100. So neutral bias for New Zealand dollar as well. Dollar CAD here. Dollar CAD has been dropping. Canadian dollar has been stronger here. We had a big pin bar, and now price has moved lower. So nice follow through in that one. Next target here is 1.2290. So bearish bias for dollar CAD. Again, keep in mind it is into support. It hasn't broken this support yet, but this is what we're looking for, 1.2290. So bearish bias for dollar CAD. Euro pound here, this one seems to be stuck in a sideways sort of range here. Price is into support, hasn't broken through the support yet. And this is where we could see things go back up. So bias here is neutral. And I'm looking for a range bound move between 0.8620 and 0.8500. So bias is neutral for Euro pound. Euro Swiss franc looking quite bearish here. Keep in mind though, it's into support and that could be problematic. So watch out for a bit of a bounce here. And if it holds below 1.0780, then we're looking for a continuation lower, and 1.0650 is the target. So bearish bias here for Euro Swiss franc, and this big move to the upside, this inefficient move has now been filled. Pound Swiss franc, this one also looking bearish, but keep in mind, price is again coming into support here, right into support at the moment. So bearish bias, however, with caution. Next target is 1.2500. And then below that, we are looking at 1.2400. So bearish bias for pound Swiss franc. Dollar Swiss franc, quite a drop here. And in this case, still looking bearish. Watch out for a bit of a pullback here, and then looking for that drop. And here 0.8970 is the first target, and 0.8930 is the second target. So bearish bias for dollar Swiss franc as well. Pound yen here. Pound yen has been interesting. We have seen price go up, but now there is rejection from the resistance here at 153.50. So with this one here, we could get a retest of the high, but if it holds there, if it fails to go through, we're basically looking for a drop here. So neutral to potentially bearish here. 150.70 is the first target, and then we are looking at 149. So neutral to bearish bias here. Price is rejecting the resistance, which means we could see a drop. Now for pound though, again, remember Bank of England, which could change things completely, but purely based on technicals here, this one seems to be weakening right now. So the first target is 150.70 and then 149. Euro yen, this one as well. As we can see, price didn't quite make it into the highs there. It got stuck into 130.50, this previous support resistance level. Neutral close here for Euro yen. And with this, I would look for a bit of a pullback, retest of 130.50 potentially, and then looking for a drop back down. 128.60 here is the first target. And then if it continues lower, we are looking at 128.15 as the second target. So neutral to slightly bearish bias here for Euro yen as well. Dollar yen, this one, US dollar not having done too well. This one looks bearish. Again, watch out for a bit of a pullback and then looking for a drop here. So bias is bearish for here for dollar yen. Aussie yen here, this one as well, looking bearish here. In this case, looking for price to retest the support. 79.80 is the first target, and then 79.20 is the second target for Aussie yen. So looking for a continuation of this previous bearish trend. New Zealand yen, this one also looking bearish here. And in this case, our target is 75.60. Watch out for the support that price is into right now. We do need to see a break of this support. Otherwise, this is likely to become a range bound here. So currently, bearish bias with caution though, 75.60 is the target for New Zealand yen. And then CAD yen. CAD yen has been in a bit of a sideways move here. Canadian dollar has gone back and forth with the oil. So in this case, neutral bias here. This one could go in either direction. So right now it's stuck into the resistance below 88.20. And if it fails to go through that, we will look for a move lower here. But this one, there's been too much back and forth here, and things have been a little messed up. So neutral bias, I will keep an eye on 88.20, and then if it fails, we're looking for a drop towards 87. So neutral bias for CAD yen. All right, so let's take a look at our commodities here with silver. Silver also looks neutral here. Our candle isn't strong in either direction. There is some bullishness. So I'm looking for a retest of 25.78. If it fails, we're looking for a move back down. So essentially over the last 2 weeks, it has been, it's just been sideways here. It hasn't really done a whole lot. So it's just, yeah, going sideways. So bias right now for silver is neutral. Gold here, gold also looking neutral for the last 3 weeks. It's been stuck in this sideways range here. It's getting, it's having trouble going through the resistance here. And if it fails again, we're looking for a drop. But overall, it's been in this sideways move, so hasn't really gone too far. So I'm looking for a retest of 1834, and with a drop, first target would be 1789, and then 1759. So neutral bias for gold. Oil here, oil slowly trying to move back up, and this is the same sort of sequence we have seen, or setup we have seen for Canadian dollar as well. So big drop, and Canadian dollar drop with that, and now it's going up. So Canada is a big exporter of oil, and that's why oil prices have a direct impact on Canadian dollar. So with this one, still it's looking a bit bullish, coming into resistance, but looking bullish still. Next target for oil here, 75, and then above that, 76.50. So bullish bias for oil. Copper here, big rejection from the high, so bearish bias. Price went all the way into 4.58 and then has dropped quite substantially at this point. Now looking for a move lower here. Keep in mind, we are into support. Our support is right there, 4.38. If it fails to go through that, that could be challenging. But for now, bias is bearish. First target is 4.38, and then 4.32, and then we'll be looking for. We'll take a look at that in the dailies, but looking for a move lower. So, excuse me. Right now, 4.38 and 4.32 will be the next two targets. Bitcoin here. Bitcoin has had a great week, all the way into the resistance, closed into the resistance. So at this point, bias is bullish. Again, keep in mind, we are into a big resistance here. Right now, this is not the current price, but the current price is around the 41,300 mark, which is right into the resistance as well. So here, if it goes through, we had trouble, so we'll have to keep an eye on the resistance here. That's the big thing. But next target is 44,000, and then we'll be looking for the next levels up. So at this point, bullish bias 44, and then 46 will be the next target. And again, we'll monitor this during our daily analysis. S&P 500, this one looking neutral. It's right into the high, and price has been struggling here. It could break out or it could turn around. So right now still has that big bullish bias to the upside. It's following that. And if it breaks through, we'll be looking at the next level higher. So neutral bias for the time being. We'll have to keep an eye on this. If it goes through, then we're looking at about 4,500 as the next target. But again, something we'll monitor on our daily. Right now, this looks neutral. Nasdaq here. Nasdaq has been struggling back and forth, also into the highs, and still maintaining that bullish bias here. But this one it seems to be struggling a little bit more. So if it doesn't go through, we're looking for a drop back into 14,400. So neutral to slightly bearish bias here for Nasdaq. And then for Dow Jones, this one is right into the resistance at the moment, very small weekly candle close. So bias is neutral. Again, it's right into that resistance. So we'll have to be careful. Should it go through though, because that bearishness does not look very strong. We're looking at 35,500 as the next target, and then we'll look for the moves higher. But right now, we need to monitor the resistance. It's all the way into the highs here. So if it doesn't go through, we're looking for a drop, but it's been struggling there, which means we could see a break. So we'll keep an eye on it. Neutral bias for the time being. DAX here, again, DAX is similarly stuck right into the highs. It's been holding on to the highs for quite some time, and same sort of neutral candle close for the week. So neutral bias here. I'm looking for a move between 15,400 to 15,765. So neutral bias for DAX as well. And then FTSE here, FTSE also looking neutral here. Right now, not a very strong candle close in either direction. So neutral bias looking for a move between 71.65 and 69.20. And Nikkei here, Nikkei is actually looking bearish. As we can see, price held below the resistance here. So I'm looking for a move towards 27,000, so 27,000 even. So bearish bias, but then we are into a very important support level. So if it doesn't go through, this one could again become range bound. So this is what the level we'll monitor on our daily. 27,000 is the target here. All right, so that's it for today. You guys have a wonderful trading week, and I'll be back again on Monday with the daily analysis. Bye for now.